I wanted to say hello, greetings to everyone. It's been a while since I've done a live, so if you join me right now or if you join me later, be sure and send a little high five emoji. Let me know that you're just as invigorated to be here as I am. Before I get into today's talk, actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put my coffee down because I talk with my hands and I'll end up splashing it everywhere. So before I get into what I wanted to chat with you all tonight, I'm going to introduce myself. I'm Kris, otherwise known as Coach BK. I am the coach, the nutrition and weight loss coach that's all about teaching you a lifestyle of how to eat the foods you love and lose excess fat and weight. That's truly what I love to do, happy to do it, and happy to share this with you. But today's topic has to do specifically with a kind of a reality check. I'm taking this from, working with my clients and also just some of my own experience. And that has to do with the two most common obstacles that I've run into with my clients. And like I said, also my personal experience. The two most common obstacles that people face that stop them from reaching their goals. And so I want to talk to you and just kind of talk this out with you guys, because I know we can all relate to this at some point or another. And then just kind of share with you some of the insight as far as what I share with my clients, how to get through it, even how I talk myself through some of these obstacles, because some of them are very hard, right? They just sort of stop us in our tracks. So the first obstacle that I want to talk to you about and share with you has to do with viewing mistakes as failure. And I know we hear this all the time. I mean, you probably read stuff all the time on social media, on the internet. We hear it all the time. But when you actually experience it and you're working towards a goal and you experience, pretty significant failure, it's a hard pill to swallow, right? It is very difficult. It's very difficult, one, to just experience it, but then to, feel like you can bounce back and keep going forward. And what I want to say is that I think a lot of times with this is that in our mind, we envision that our path is going to be straight, right? So whatever your goal is, let's say it is, nutrition or some kind of a weight loss goal, a fitness goal. A lot of times we envision our path being straight. And so then anytime we veer off of that path, it seems like we've failed. So we start questioning ourselves like, well, maybe I'm just not made for this. Maybe this goal was too hard. Maybe I don't have what it takes. Maybe I just don't know what the hell I'm doing. And we tend to get in our own heads. We tend to get in our own way, especially with this, because we feel that, failure is just not an option. And I know a lot of us too, it could be also compounded with, just our own drive, how we were raised. I know a lot of us obviously, whether it's your career or, the schooling that you're going through, I mean, we put our best foot forward, right? And that's the intention is to win or to do our best. And so the failure part or failing is hard to stomach, and a lot of times it can be very embarrassing, or you feel like you're being judged and, people around you have comments and opinions about, this, that, and the other, and it gets really hard to stay on track. So that is actually probably one of the most common things that I see with my clients is that they feel that because they've messed up, whether it's in their nutrition and their food, it's just along the way that they've messed up, they feel that they're just not good at it, that they're just not made for this. And what I want to share with you is that that's so not the case, that the mistakes are going to happen. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And so part of whatever it is whatever journey that you're on, part of that has to be your contingency plan for when those mistakes or when those road bumps, arise, because they're going to happen. And I'll talk a little bit more about this, when I wrap up this little chat. But the reason I want to share with you this is that it is extremely common, and I hear it so often, from my clients, and I know I've experienced it myself. As far as when you take on a brand new challenge, something where, let's say, you're an expert in the finance area. Let's just say that's what you do. and then you're taking on a new responsibility or a new hobby or maybe a new career path that's in a completely different industry. I mean, you're starting at ground zero, and it's really hard when you're used to being an expert or the go-to person in one thing, and then all of a sudden now you're starting back at ground zero and learning. It's hard, right? It's humbling. I think it's a great thing. But a lot of times it's humbling, and it's hard to accept that, that step back, in order to get that 2-3 steps forward. Make sense? So anyway, that's the first obstacle that I want to share. The second one is another huge one, very common, that I see across the board, is underestimating how hard the goal actually is. We had a guest on the Stay Healthy Experience. I'm not sure if you're not aware. I'm also a co-host on the Stay Healthy Experience with Robert Ferguson. He's the founder and CEO of Diet Free Life, as well as with Daniel Baldwin, the actor and philanthropist. Two great, amazing men. We are on the Stay Healthy Experience podcast show. And we had a guest that came on, and we talked a little bit about this, about how oftentimes, we can get in our own way by underestimating how hard the goal is. And that doesn't mean that it's too hard for us. It just means that a lot of times we have this, it's almost like this thinking that, you've got these amazing dreams or goals, and you're going to do it. And that's great. I think that envisioning, or that vision, that that inspiration, that being able to use your get your mindset right is very, very important. But what you don't want to get mixed up with that is the fact that there's mental strength that's involved. So there's confidence is one thing. That's huge. You definitely, self-confidence and all that and what you're doing is amazing. But that mental strength to understand that it's going to be a hard goal to get to. Anything worthwhile, right, is usually very difficult. And so it's not just enough to say, like, I can envision myself at point B and I just have to just keep envisioning. The point is, or the key here is that there's going to be work, and you're going to have to persevere, and you're going to have to face those bumps, right? You're going to have to hit those failures, learn from it, and keep going. And so even with weight loss and with, training, or I'm saying coaching someone through their nutrition, this nutrition and getting that on track, there is a lot of times when they come to the realization that it's actually pretty difficult. And some of that stuff has to do with the fact that, with social media and the fact that we can see so many people's lives, at least on, what we can see on social media, right? The highlight reel, like we refer to it as. When you look at other people's highlight reel, oftentimes we tend to look at ourselves as somehow, wow, how come they make it look so easy? They're not struggling the way I am. So this must just be my own problem, that I can't do this, or I can't do the same type of thing or reach that same type of goal. So not true, but that's very common. We also just assume when we see people from the outside, or a little bit that we understand from a person's life, that they don't struggle or everything comes easy, and that isn't true either. And then lastly, I think a lot of that has to do with maybe there just isn't a support system around you to remind you of some of those things, that, it is going to be hard. Those goals that you're going after are going to be hard. You're going to face, a lot of potholes, a lot of, roadblocks along the way, but that doesn't mean that you stop. It just means that we have to correct. It means that we have to learn from those mistakes. I brought up at the very start. We have to take a step back when we're able to, right? Kind of lick our wounds, take a step back, and reassess. Use those mistakes as fuel, as knowledge, as added, just that experience. That experience is priceless. I mean, you could probably all think back on a really hard time in your life years ago. And at that time, you probably felt like there's no way I'm going to ever be able to get through this. And when you look back at it now, you can say, I learned so much from that experience. That's the same type of thing. And I know it's easier said than done. I know that when we deal with those failures and those roadblocks, it's super hard. I know I've dealt with them in my own, my professional life, my personal life, going through a divorce. It is not easy. And what I can tell you though, as far as when I was speaking of before, as far as having a good support system, those people around you are key, because they will be the ones to remind you that yes, it sucks and it's hard, but when you get through it, you're going to be so much stronger, so much smarter, and so much closer to your goal. And so to wrap this up, I wanted to share with you those 2 common roadblocks that I'm telling you I see so very often, right? And that is 1, just viewing mistakes as a failure, and then 2, underestimating the work that's going to need to go into it. And if you can just wrap your mind around those 2 things, sort of accept those things. Don't, it's not about, raising the white flag and just giving up or anything like that, but just come to the realization that those 2 things are going to happen. And when you can sort of, like I said, wrap your mind around it, and just sort of take it in stride, it makes that goal so much more, I think, realistic. And then also you realize that when the poop hits the fan or things get hard, that you're going to be okay, and that it's to be expected. It's not going to be perfect. The journey is not going to be perfect, but I guarantee you this: your journey might not be exactly the way you thought, but it's going to be so much better than you even imagined. That's the power in just sort of trusting that process, just trusting your hard work, and then trusting everything that you're putting into it. And if you have any questions, obviously leave comments below. If you do have questions with respect to, or want to learn more about the coaching that I do, feel free. I listed my link for my free Facebook group. It's BK Fat Loss. Go ahead and click there and just request to join. I do share more coaching tips inside that group. You'll also be part of a great community, a growing community of my past, current clients, and then just other people who are all about learning, not a diet, but a lifestyle, right? A lifestyle that they can sustain, that's simple, that they can enjoy the foods that they love and still, reach those health and fitness goals. And I also did include the link to the Stay Healthy Experience, because that show has been so amazing. The guests that we've had on there, you guys, we've got over 10 episodes with so many people from the health industry, from the medical community, athletes, the UFC referee. And we've got just a great mixture of people who just bring so much value to how they stay healthy in their life and in their career. So guys, with that, I'm going to wrap this up. Hopefully you guys are having a great evening. And otherwise, I will be seeing you. Coach BK is out. Bye guys.